America is loud. It's gridlock and strip malls and notification sounds and 24-hour everything. Most people spend their whole lives within a few miles of a coffee shop, a hospital, and interstate. They just assume all of that is normal, that it's everywhere. It's not. There are places in this country where running out of milk is a logistical event, where leaving town isn't something you do on a Tuesday, where the nearest emergency room is 3 hours away, or the whole town fits inside one building, or one person is holding the entire municipal structure together by themselves. This is the 10 loneliest towns in America. Number 10, Garden City, Kansas. Stand in the middle of Finney County, Kansas and look in any direction. You'll see the same thing and every one of them flat, absolutely flat. The horizon is just a straight line where the sky decides to stop. No hills, no trees to speak of, no visual reference that anything else exists. Garden City sits out there on the high plains with about 26,000 people, which sounds like enough to not feel lonely. And it's not lonely in the traditional sense. It has a Walmart. It has a zoo, actually, the Lee Richardson Zoo, which has been there since 1927, which is one of those facts that feels strange the longer you think about it. But Garden City is a study in psychological isolation. It's the kind of place where the landscape itself starts to press on you after a while. The nearest city of any real size is Wichita, about 200 miles east, roughly 3 hours on a good day. Dodge City is 50 miles closer, which doesn't really solve the problem. The economy runs on meatpacking and agriculture, and there's a substantial immigrant workforce that came in when the beef industry expanded hard in the 80s and 90s. The community is genuinely diverse, but it's also genuinely stranded. When people talk about the emptiness of the Great Plains, they usually mean the rural stretches between towns. Garden City is the town, and it still feels like the middle of nowhere. That's a different kind of lonely. Number 9, Valentine, Nebraska. Valentine calls itself the Heart City. Heart-shaped signs, a heart on the water tower, Valentine's Day cards postmarked from here every February because people think that's charming. It kind of is. But underneath the branding, this is a town quietly bleeding out. The population sits around 2,700, down from what it was 20 years ago, and will probably be down from where it is now in another 20. The median age keeps climbing. A lot of high school graduates leave for Lincoln, for Omaha, for anywhere with a job market that isn't almost entirely dependent on ranching and a tourist season tied to the Niobrara River. Cherry County, which Valentine anchors, is one of the largest counties by area in the United States and has fewer than 6,000 total residents spread across it. The nearest hospital with full services is about 75 miles away. There's a critical access hospital in town, a federal designation that essentially means small and resource limited. Valentine isn't dying dramatically, it's just slowly getting quieter. Fewer young families, fewer kids in the school, fewer people at the diner on a Tuesday morning. The town still functions. It just functions on a lower frequency than it used to. Number 8, Terlingua, Texas. Terlingua was a mercury mining town. At its peak in the early 1900s, it had a few thousand people, a company store, a mine that employed nearly everyone, and the particular kind of community that forms when people are stuck somewhere remote together. Then the mine closed. Most people left. The buildings crumbled. What remained and what draws people now is essentially a ghost town that never fully died. The current population is estimated somewhere between 100 and 300 depending on the source and the season, because Terlingua has a weird seasonal pattern where people show up for the winter and thin out again. It sits right on the edge of Big Bend National Park, which brings tourists but not residents. Big Bend is one of the least visited national parks in the country, partly because it's so far from everything. El Paso is about 200 miles west, Midland about 180 miles north. There's no grocery store, there's a small general store. Gas is available, but you check before you leave. Medical care means getting in a car and driving a significant distance. Terlingua has a loose, frontier quality that appeals to a certain type of person artists, off-grid types, people who came for a weekend and just never left. But the isolation that attracts those people is the same isolation that makes the place genuinely precarious if something goes wrong. Number 7, Eureka, Nevada. The loneliest road in America runs right through Eureka. That's not a metaphor. US Route 50 across Nevada was literally labeled the loneliest road in America by Life magazine in 1986, and the Nevada Tourism Board leaned into it. Eureka sits roughly at the midpoint, about 70 miles from Ely to the east and 80 from Austin to the west, both of which are tiny themselves. The nearest city with a real hospital and an airport is either Reno or Las Vegas, and both are over 250 miles away in opposite directions. The population is about 600 people. It was a silver and lead mining town in the 1870s and boomed hard at its peak. It had close to 10,000 residents, multiple newspapers, an opera house that's still standing and has been restored. The Eureka Opera House is legitimately beautiful and feels surreal in a town this size. That's the thing about Nevada mining towns. They have the bones of ambition left behind. The people mostly went somewhere else, but the opera house stayed. Today, the economy is a mix of mining activity that comes and goes, ranching, and county government work. The county seat designation keeps some institutional presence alive. But if you want a hospital, a department store, a university, an airport, you are looking at a multi-hour drive through open desert in any direction. Number 6. Hanksville, Utah. If you're driving between Capitol Reef and Canyonlands, you pass through Hanksville. A lot of people do stop for gas, maybe a sandwich, look at the red rock walls visible from the highway, and keep going. About 200 people actually live here. They don't keep going. Hanksville exists because the geography required it. You need a service point out here because there is nothing else for a long stretch in every direction. The nearest grocery store with any real selection is 75 miles away. The nearest hospital is in Price, about 125 miles north. The Wayne County region carries a formal Rural Health Access designation from the state of Utah. That distance is not theoretical. When something medical happens here, someone is making a very long drive. The terrain is stunning in a way that's hard to photograph accurately. Slot canyons, buttes, the convergence of the Fremont and Dirty Devil rivers nearby. The Mars Desert Research Station operates close by because the landscape resembles Mars closely enough that scientists run simulation studies here. Living in Hanksville means living with a logistical mindset. Every supply run is planned. Every health issue gets evaluated against drive time. The people who are here chose it, and most of them are used to it. But the structure of daily life looks almost nothing like what the average American experiences. Number 5. Chicken, Alaska. The name came from a spelling problem. When the town was being established around the turn of the 20th century, residents wanted to name it after the ptarmigan, the bird common in the area. Nobody could agree on how to spell ptarmigan, so they called it chicken. That story is probably the most told thing about this place, and they lean into it hard. There's a gift shop, a post office that people visit specifically for the postmark. There are approximately 7 to 20 people here year-round. That range is real. The 2020 census recorded just a handful of permanent residents, though summer brings gold mining workers and tourists who temporarily inflate the number. Chicken sits on the Taylor Highway about 78 miles from the Canadian border and roughly 110 miles from Tok, which is the nearest community with a year-round gas station and a clinic. Fairbanks is about 250 miles west. There's no reliable internet, minimal cell service, and the Taylor Highway is unpaved and closes in winter. If you're staying through to spring, you made a deliberate choice. The isolation here is both climatic and logistical at the same time. Temperatures drop to -50 or colder, the road closes. The few people who winter over do it by choice, by habit, or because extracting yourself for the season is more complicated than staying put. Number 4. Whittier, Alaska. Almost everyone who lives in Whittier lives in the same building. The Begich Towers, a 14-story concrete structure built by the U.S. Army in the 1950s, became a residential building when the military left, and some people just stayed. Today it functions as a stacked small city, around 200 permanent residents, a city hall, a police station, a small store, a health clinic, a church, and a school. Most of it either inside the building or connected by underground tunnels, so residents don't have to go outside in the worst months. There is one road into Whittier, and it goes through a mountain. The Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel is about 2.5 miles long, shares a single lane with a railroad track, and alternates direction on a schedule. If you miss your window, you wait. Anchorage is about 60 miles away, but takes over an hour accounting for tunnel timing. In summer, Whittier transforms hundreds of thousands of cruise tourists pour through for Prince William Sound access. Then they all leave. The town contracts back down to the people in the tower. The structural isolation here is complete and physical, in a way nothing else on this list quite matches. You are living inside one building in a mountain pass on a one-road tunnel route. That is the full description of where you live. Number 3. Lost Springs, Wyoming. At the 2010 census, Lost Springs had a population of 4. At various other points, it has been as low as 1. It fluctuates. A family member moves in, someone leaves, a couple settles there briefly, and the number shifts by whole percentage points with each individual person. The 2020 census listed 4 again. Whatever the current number is, it's basically nothing, and it has been basically nothing for a long time. Lost Springs is a town in the legal sense. It has a charter, it has a zip code, it sits on Wyoming Highway 270 inches, Converse County, about 60 miles southeast of Casper. For most of its history, it was a railroad stop, then a ranching supply point, then less and less of either until there wasn't much reason to be there at all. Wyoming has the second lowest population density in the country, and Lost Springs represents the extreme end of that tendency. There's a structural emptiness to it that goes beyond loneliness. It's more like a legal fiction that still technically has a few inhabitants, a town that outlasted its own reason for existing. Number 2. Monowi, Nebraska. Elsie Eiler is the mayor of Monowi, Nebraska. She's also the clerk, the treasurer, the librarian, and the bartender. She's also the only resident. Monowi's official population is 1. Elsie has lived there since childhood. Her husband Rudy died in 2004. She grants herself a liquor license every year, taxes herself, and files all the paperwork Nebraska requires to keep the municipality technically functional. She maintains a library next to the Tavern Rudy's library, about 5,000 books he collected over his lifetime, and keeps it open. Truckers stop. Curious visitors show up. She's been interviewed more times than she probably cares to count. Monowi had roughly 150 residents at its peak in the 1930s. Farms consolidated, young people left, the infrastructure persisted longer than the population did. By the 1980s, it was down to a handful. Then it was just Elsie. She is in her mid-80s as of recent reporting. What happens to Monowi when she is no longer there is an open question without a good answer. The town will almost certainly cease to function as a municipality. The library might survive in some form somewhere. The existential weight of that one person holding the administrative reality of a town together and the clock ticking on that is the thing that most stories about Monowi skip past. It's the realest thing about the place. Number 1. Supai, Arizona. There is no road into Supai. If you want to go there, and roughly 20,000 tourists do, every year you hike 8 miles down into Havasu Canyon, you ride a horse or mule, or you pay for a helicopter. The mail is delivered by mule train, making Supai the last community in the United States with pack animal mail delivery. That's not a historical reenactment, that's the actual logistics of Tuesday. Supai is the capital of the Havasupai tribe and has been continuously inhabited for centuries. The Havasupai, whose name translates roughly to people of the blue-green water, have lived in and around this canyon long before Arizona was a state or the United States existed. The waterfalls here, Havasu Falls and Mooney Falls especially, are among the most photographed natural features in the American Southwest. The turquoise water is real, the photos are accurate. About 450 to 500 people live here, mostly tribal members. The school goes through 8th grade high school students have to leave, to board elsewhere, to step up out of the canyon and enter a world that operates completely differently than the one they grew up in. That transition is not a small thing. Medical emergencies require helicopter evacuation. The tribe has faced documented challenges with healthcare access and with managing a tourism economy that floods the canyon every spring and summer with visitors who arrive, take photos, and leave. The isolation here is not abandonment. It is not simple poverty. It is a place that is physically, genuinely apart from the infrastructure grid the rest of the country takes for granted, and a community that has maintained its identity for centuries, in part because of that distance, not despite it. Supai is the loneliest town in America by almost any logistical measure. It's also one of the most culturally rooted communities on this entire list. Those two things coexist. That tension is worth sitting with. Some people run from silence, others build their whole lives inside it. Whether it's a single woman holding down a town of one in Nebraska, or a community that's been in a canyon for centuries with no road in or out, there are people living in ways most Americans will never see. Think about or have to reckon with, that's worth knowing. If this kind of video is your thing, subscribe to Globewisp. Drop a comment which town surprised you most. We actually read them.